Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my first episode of my podcast. You probably want to know what my podcast is going to be about. I'll let you know when I figure it out. So I would like to welcome my first guests. My first guests are going to be Nathan and my father, Paul. You want to share something about yourself? Now, see, I told you it's going to get awkward.
It's okay. It doesn't think about it. Hey, just tell the people why you're doing the podcast.
Why am I doing the podcast? First, I'm doing the podcast because my CMO, that happens to be Nathan, told me I had to. But I would say I wouldn't agree to it if I didn't think it was a good idea. One of the things that, Nathan, you've helped me recognize is that, yes, I like to teach, I like to coach. And I think this is one method that I can use to show or be able to hopefully have a good positive impact on someone's life through their journey. Probably mostly going to relate to business owners.
Yeah.
I say that, but I think there'll also be other people who aren't business owners that might gravitate to some of the stuff that I'm sure we're going to go over in the podcast.
Well, and you also said that you wanted to do a podcast for those that may or may not be considering it, but maybe just need a little push, but someone has helped you in the process of doing that?
Yeah, so part of why I chose my dad for my first podcast, and by the way, I found out I know where my awkwardness comes from. Not that it was actually a question about where it comes from, but I recognize that for me, as I was decided to become a business owner, wanted to build a business, start a business. One of the things that I learned early on in life, but also in my business, is recognizing that you have to have a good support system. The worst thing is to have the wrong people in your life or going to the wrong people for advice. And so my dad has always been a great support system for me my whole life, but also in my business journey as well. Because one of the things that my dad is very great at is he loves to play the devil's advocate. And even though he might agree with you, he likes to point out the flaws of your decisions, or not your decisions, of the things that you're thinking about doing. So I asked him to be here because, again, like I said, I think it's important to have that support system. And what I want to, I think it's more for me too, is recognize, okay, I can tell you what my experience has been, but I would like to hear it from the perspective of somebody who's supporting someone building a business or starting a business, what their experience is. And my dad is going to be the one who is going to tell you what he really thinks. And I might not like it, but that's okay because I'm used to him saying stuff I don't like, but we'll see how this goes. Yeah.
That was my job as a dad, to tell you things you don't like.
Yeah.
Just translate it over into business as well.
Yeah. So, okay. Where should we go? Where should I start? Where do you think we should start?
I think it would be a good way to start with maybe your dad sharing how he started the business.
Which one?
That part. So because
yeah, that's true. Well, I have said for a long time, like the reason why I started my first business, that was my consulting business, was because of my friend Dina. She actually isn't the reason why I started my first business. It would be my dad, because we went through a lot of like personal development courses and stuff like that when I was younger. That helped influence the decision of saying like, wait a minute, why am I working so hard for somebody else when I could do this for myself? So,
the interesting part about that is we did that while I was working for somebody else, had the golden handcuffs on, and was tied to corporate America, and looking at it going, this is not sustainable, especially for my health. So for me, it was, to give you some of my background, I've been trying to retire unsuccessfully since I was 53. I suck at retirement. I really do. So I was paid to go away from my corporate job at the ripe old age of 53, and had enough money to retire and live a reasonable life. And after about 4 months of not doing anything and decompressing, I found myself in a position of complete and utter boredom. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And from there, fell into some nonprofit work, helping out a buddy of mine, which then turned into a consulting gig, playing on some of the work that I had done when I was in corporate America, which turned into my own consulting business in conjunction with a real estate business that I had at the same time that I had started as a way of making sure I could get out of the corporate world and have something to fall back on. So you watched me do real estate from the time you were 12, 13, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, I remember going to the rental properties in Ocean Park, and this is how he would get me to go with him. He bribed me with go-kart rides and lunch. It was go-kart rides and lunch. And so we would go to the rental properties you had out there. And I remember we would do all the demo work. So I would have to go in and help him rip out carpets and rip out cabinets and all of that. And I remember one of the ones that we did, you had me in a back room putting together cabinets, and I was so nervous that I was going to screw it up.
I think the more fun story on that one was when we went to the dump after one of those things.
Oh, that was terrible.
Still smells like the fish that you stepped in and got all over the carpet in my truck.
In his brand new truck. It was not even a year old, and we're literally at this dump, and we're getting out, and there's a guy in a big one of those refrigerator trucks dumping out old fish, and I stepped in it and got it in his truck, and I have to say you were pretty nice to me about that, because you didn't.
The truck stunk for months.
To this day, when you get in there on a really, really, really hot day,
you can still
kind of smell.
It's an old truck.
You can't get rid of fish smell.
We got rid of most of it. We went through all the things we could get through, but that was certainly memorable. That was on one of those trips.
Yeah.
And the truck was only it was a year old, I think, at the time. So that would have been way back in 2001. It's been a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that even though I know now that that was your first business that you started, I never really thought of it as a business, though. I just saw it as building something to free yourself of the job.
Investing, because I really didn't do fixers. What I did was I bought things the cash flow from the start.
See where I learned it from? Cash flow, why it's important.
Yeah. It was all about, let's make sure I can make money on this long term. I'm not looking to get rich.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
not looking to be a slumlord. Okay, I want a nice place for people to live in. Well, they'll pay me to live there. It's going to be their homes. I tried to be a reasonable landlord and was fortunate enough to be a landlord in a state that was landlord friendly. I had some stories to tell, which I won't, about tenants that weren't so forgiving and were, tenants from hell. The usual, you get that. But it's part of the risk that you take on when you start a business. And for me, I always treated it like a business, even though it was considered long-term investing. And while all of my compatriots in corporate America were out spending their bonuses and their stock options and all the things that they got on, nice cars and nice homes and things like that, I had reasonable cars and a decent home, and all my bonuses and stock options and things went to buy purchases for real estate. They were all real estate purchases. They were either down payments or paying things off, and we'd buy and sell and everything. I only bought one property through the course of my entire investing career when I was investing in real estate that did not cash flow from the start, and I bought it for a different reason. And unfortunately, those reasons fell through, and then we turned that into a cash flow property by paying off something else or selling something else and paying off that loan. And ultimately, we made money. We were fortunate enough to make money on all of it. That's a much harder path these days with the way that the economy's gone and the way that things are here in the West Coast. It can still be done, but it's very difficult to find properties that cash flow.
It's a different market.
It's a different market. It's a different job, and I'm out of that now, sort of. Sort of. Now I'm doing private lending to people who are doing that sort of thing, and still doing flips and things of that sort of thing.
So it seems like you all have the same business model.
No,
I
wouldn't say, I don't think so. I think what I got exposed to is a dad who's like, I don't want to work for somebody else for the rest of my life. And so I always looked at it as this was your way of getting out of it and having freedom. And freedom. And when I say freedom to make the choices that you want to make versus making them because this is what somebody else is telling you those choices should be. And so when I was in college, I remember I wanted to go to school in the medical field because I thought that's where you're going to make money, right? But so I researched what's like the bare minimum amount of time I have to spend in school to make the max amount of money. Well, I decided I wanted to become a radiologist. And then I did the research on it and found, oh, wait, this means that I'm going to have to wait at least a year before I can get into the program. I'd have to be on a wait list. And I had already decided, I'm like, no, I want to get done and out of school. Like, this is not the route that I want to go. And so I went to Dad and I said, what do I do? I don't want to wait. And he goes, get a business degree. And it made sense to me. And so I got a business degree, which I think was a very smart decision to do. What do you always say? It took me 5 years to finish school in 3. It took you 5 years to finish 4 years of college in 3 years. Yeah. So she went to Running Start for 2 years in high school, but did not get her AA. So it took her another year to go and then get all of the necessary credits to be able to transfer that to what would have amounted to an AA, but also for the college credits. Because when she took her first 2 years, she didn't have a lot of direction. She wasn't living with me at the time, and didn't have a lot of direction from the people that she was living with. And it was a situation where she just kind of went and took whatever she was interested in, which was fine. Nothing wrong with that. So the next year was spent at local community college living with us, and getting what amounted to all of her necessary transfer credits so that she could enter the business degree program, which she then finished 2 years later. So 3 years of college. Took her 5 years to complete it to get a 4-year degree. But what I think is interesting through this whole process. It took me longer, so I can't really talk. We won't talk about the fact that I don't have a degree. Okay. Yeah. It took me a lot longer to not finish. I finally got to the point where I went, this is pointless. I'll just go take No, you're retired. Yeah. No, he says he's gainfully unemployed. Okay. Gainfully unemployed. And you're not standing in line at the unemployment line. No, that's why I'm gainfully unemployed. I'm not looking to get any of that. Yeah. I mean, the only acceptance I'm taking from the public is stuff I paid into for a long time. I have to say, I lucked out. Even there's some difficult stuff that I had to deal with in my childhood just because of divorced parents, different households. Way different households. I just think of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I had not rich dad, I had smart dad, poor mom. And I watched Dad growing up, working 3 jobs, trying to take care of the family, and then him just make a decision. So for me, I grew up with this dad who just worked very hard, and then finally it's like something clicked. You started doing the real estate on the side. So as I was going to college and I finished college, I'm like, what am I going to do? And I finally was like, well, Dad is working on building a real estate empire. He's just looking at building like enough income on the side so that when and if the job goes away, he's got income and he doesn't have to worry about being reliant on someone else. And so I thought, okay, I want to own real estate. If I'm going to own real estate, I'm going to go into property management. And so I did that for 10 years. I worked for someone else for about 10 years. When did you start? When did I start what? What year did you start that business? Well, I went into property management working for somebody else. I think I was 21. That sounds 2021. Right. It was right after I finished college. I finished college at 20. And right after college. Because you had a couple of interesting oh my jobs. Gosh. I had a job where. I had a job where I did an internship when I was in college. I was a loan processor for a company that did reverse mortgages. I learned, and that was working for a small business, which was it was interesting, but it really helped me understand like being detail oriented. And then directly after I finished college, I took a job with a company that did B2B sales. Basically, I went door to door. I'd visit 60 to 100 businesses a day selling office products. So you want to gauge, and it's funny because I remember asking Dad about, hey, do you think this is a good job for me to take? And I could see it, now I reflect back on it, I could see like, no, this is a terrible job, but you encouraged me to take it because what I learned from it is no, it does not mean no. I had to learn how to be uncomfortable in front of people I don't know.
Right.
You have to learn like, what is a gatekeeper? How do you get through a gatekeeper? How to be able to build rapport with somebody immediately when you're getting a door slammed in your face at least 60 times a day. And the process with this company is you don't get to go back. You get one opportunity. You have a territory you work for a couple weeks, and you're not allowed to come back and visit those people again. That was just the process they had. So I think for me, I did it for not very long. I want to say probably maybe 3 months.
Long enough to learn the most important lesson, which you've already talked about, the ability to have someone say no to you and not get totally upset, and also not have it be the end. Remember what I've always said, no is just the beginning of the negotiation.
Hold on, what's that acronym again? BDO?
What? Oh, I said the no is just the beginning of a negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of, oh, did you make that an acronym?
No.
Oh, okay.
Should I? I can. Give me a piece of paper or something. I'll write it down.
We're all digital here.
Okay. All right, I got my phone out, but that's kind of rude.
Which is funny you say that because he's probably one of the most digital people I know, too.
Yeah, I didn't bring my laptop. I should have brought my laptop. Good taking notes.
Yeah.
Beginning of the negotiation is...
Beginning of the negotiation.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's because you haven't figured out, and again, there's a lot that I learned from it. So I did that, and I think the end of that, where I'm like tearing up my shoes because, I'm hitting the pavement. I don't know how many miles I would do a day, and again, door slammed in your face. People like, do you not read the sign? It says no soliciting, right? And then learn. It was a great opportunity to learn to overcome objections. And so through it, that's where, at that point, I said, this is not sustainable. I've got to do something else. I think I've learned what I needed from this. And so at that point, I started, as soon as I made the decision of saying, okay, if I want to own real estate, I'm going to go into property management because I need to understand how to manage my properties. That was a game changer for me. And what I found was I only had one interview that I did in property management once I made the decision, and I was hired right away. But what I found was I had a purpose. I knew, like, I killed that interview, and it's because I had a reason why I was there. It wasn't just because I needed a job. It was, I'm here to learn. I want to learn everything that I can because I want to use this job to be able to understand. I want to own real estate at one day. So for me, when I first started my entrepreneurship journey, it was actually working for somebody else, learning everything I can from them, and me thinking that my first business would be real estate, and it actually wasn't.
I think that's a great way to end this podcast episode and start the new one.
We're going to end this podcast at this point, so stay tuned. We'll have another one come out. Who knows when? Yes,
it will be over here in this corner, so make sure you tap this right there. There you go.
Right there, yeah. Tap right there.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Is this where I say it?
Yeah.
Oh, I watch podcasts all the time. And the thing that drives me the craziest is what you're about to hear me say. If you like this, hit like and subscribe.
Thanks, Dad.
Watch that video. That's good.